As you know, the Rebel Tribe is all about helping women find their voice and find that thing that sets their heart on fire, that sets their soul on fire and helps them get out there in the world and do the thing that they're called to do. And my guest today helps women do just that. She uses vibration and cosmic energy and music to help you live your magic. How freaking awesome is that? Okay. So, welcome to the Rebel Tribe podcast, where empowerment meets attitude and sass meets savvy. As you know, we are not just another podcast. We are your virtual tribe of fierce females ready to conquer the world, especially now. Join us as we smash through those stereotypes and break those barriers and redefine what it means to be a woman in today's world. So get ready to see more, do more, and be more with the Rebel Tribe podcast. It's time to unleash your inner rebel and rock the world on your terms. So my guest today is Reverend Ronda Del Boccio, and as I said, a she's everything. I don't even know where to begin. She's an award-winning author. She's an artist. She's a speaker. She's an oracle card creator. She's a healer. She's everything. Okay. I've met her, gosh, eons ago. And I mean eons ago. Okay. Way back in the day, before I even really got into all this stuff, into any kind of marketing. So that tells you how long she's been out there. Yeah, and she's got a lifetime of experience to share with you. So I'm just going to let her do her thing. We're going to get started. And of course, I'm having tech issues today because why would I not? Because here we go again. Because why would I not? Because it's me, folks, as you know. Okay. So give a second. Give a second.
Breathe through it.
We'll be okay.
You've got this. Breathe through it.
I know. I'm used to the tech issues, and anybody that listens to me is used to the tech issues because it's like this little dark tech cloud hangs over my head. Oh, look, she's trying to do something. Let's show people it's harder than they think it is. No. People that you can get through it no matter what because you just keep going. You just keep going. Right? Right. So
Always.
that's been my mantra. You just and just go away. Now I'm getting frustrated. No, I'm not. I'm fine. Okay, now we're going. All right, now we're going. We're good now. All right, let us do this. We are good now. Okay, here we go. So, Rhonda, please take a minute to introduce yourself while I try to figure out what the heck's going on with my computer because it keeps blanking out and I'm not sure if you can see me, not see me.
I see you and hear you, so we're good on that front.
Okay.
Sure, I'll talk for a minute. I do lots of things because, well, I have this neurospicy brain that I always have at least 250 tabs of my brain open at any given moment, and they like to do things. So I have my fingers in a lot of different pies because I like it that way. It keeps lots of fun things for my very active mind to play with. And so, yeah, I've been on a really interesting journey and including starting off wanting to learn about the powers of the mind since I was a kid and kind of starting on that and then holistic health and wellness before there was the internet, before there were books. Yeah, I'm that old. Okay, if any of y'all are younger, yes, I'm that old. I'm old before the internet, which I know is not when dinosaurs roamed the earth, but it probably feels like it to some younger people.
Which explains our tech struggles, folks. We're learning, okay? We're learning as we go, but hey, I credit the fact that we're learning, so hey.
You're breathing, you're learning. The minute you stop learning, you better stop breathing because life's all about learning. That's what we're here for.
So you wouldn't be a Gemini by any chance because you sound a lot like me. Like you got your hands in so many things that sometimes it's like, ah.
Yeah, I have a lot of interests and I weave things together. And I was in a conversation with my meditation and discussion group earlier, and I kept bringing in these little nuggets from here and there, and they're like, "Wow!" And I'm like, "Oh, it's not wow. It's just I'm that diverse. I can't help it."
Well, for anyone who doesn't know, we're just going to say Rhonda is visually challenged. Is that the
Well,
politically? I want to
my
make
vision doesn't challenge me. It mostly challenges other people, but yeah, they're challenged by either thinking that I can't do something or they couldn't do something or wondering why my eyes are moving around. So it's more the challenge for y'all, you visual people that are so worried about what you see. For me, I say I'm mostly blind because I am. I operate a lot as a blind person, but I do have some vision, hence the mostly.
You have actually been called the blind seer because of this unique perspective on life. Can you share how
Yeah.
this reflects your journey and how your vision challenges have actually shaped that perspective?
Yeah, part of it is the eyesight, and part of it is the spiritual sight. So, all, my entire life, ever since I was literally in the crib, very small, before I could even use, human words, I've been aware of seeing things that other people don't see. And although my visual body's eyes do not work very well, my spirit eyes work just fine. And I can see and perceive spirits and different entities and and I read people's energy, and I see what others don't. And there are times somebody will be searching for their keys, and I'll go, "You looking for your keys? Yeah. Well, you put them over whatever." And they'll be like, "How did you know that?" I'm like, "I don't know. My brain noticed it." And so it's that kind of thing where I see what others don't, both in terms of just the mundanities of, like, where did I set my keys down or something? Because I heard them click onto the counter. That's how I would know. But and I didn't really care, but my brain tracked it. So it's kind of because of that. And then also seeing the entities that others don't. And during my early life, my parents saying, "Well, oh, you have such an imagination. Oh, that's not real." Or, "Don't, if you see that, but don't talk about that stuff. Other people don't know, whatever. They'll be scared." So I see what others do not. So being the blind seer really does make perfect sense.
Now, I mentioned when I introduced you that you were an author. Sweet. And you have authored like what, something like a dozen books or more?
Something like that. I've been an author, co-author, contributor, probably a little more than that because I've had some things in anthologies where I wasn't the sole author. I co-authored some books, and I've authored some just my own self. And to me, it's like kind of, so what? Like, in other words, I don't feel like I'm all that in a bag of chips just because I wrote some books, but but I know that it's impressive to other people.
Well, what first sparked this passion for storytelling, and how has that evolved over the years? Because when I first
It's
met you, I don't think you had written anything yet. Have you?
I'm not sure. I think I might have written a couple of things at that point, but it's been a minute. It's been over a decade. So yeah, my first actual, well, I had been in some anthologies. The first book I co-authored, where it was me and one other author, was in, I believe, 2006 that it came out. But what happened with the storytelling, that started when I was a kid with my stuffed animals and toys, and I would make up kinds of skits and stories with my stuffed toys. Part of that's probably just because I have this crazy imagination, which I do. On top of seeing different things, I do have imagination. And then part of it is because my parents were in theater, so I was surrounded with plays and comedy sketches and whatever. I mean, my dad and I would do just shtick comedy on the spot, just with whatever was going on in life, and people would think we rehearsed it. I'm like, no, we're just that good. We just come up with stuff because it's there. It's, the material is right there. So that kind of started my love of stories. I wrote a really abysmal play, which thank goodness is probably disintegrated somewhere, in back as part of the loam of the earth now, back when I was a kid. And just because, again, being surrounded with theater. But that I just sort of kept up with stories. In high school, I was writing fan fiction for Doctor Who and Highlander and things like that a little bit after that. And just went, well, let's tell my own stories with my own characters. So I've written fiction and nonfiction, and I've been a newspaper columnist a couple of times, and just all sorts of different things.
I did not know you were a Whovian. Oh my gosh, how have we been connected all this time and I did
I
not know?
I don't know. back in the good old days of Tom Baker and
Yeah,
some of the other
yes,
guys.
I know. Yeah, I've been watching it since like the early days. I think I have seen all the iterations of the Doctor from the very beginning. Okay, so yes.
Yes, likewise. Yeah.
And I have my personal favorites, but we're not going to get into that. We
That's
need
another story for another day.
to do that. We need to have a panel discussion on who's the best Doctor.
There you go. That'd be fun.
So you live in rural Missouri, which I did not know that when I first met you either. We're like neighbors. We're like an hour maybe from each other, or
Yeah, we need to get together because we're not that far off. Of course, I don't drive, so that complicates it on my side. But if you ever come my way, you're more than welcome. I have a guest room even, and I cook food and everything. So I'll feed you.
and you have
Yeah, I do live in Southwest Missouri, kind of in the Branson area, but thankfully not right in Branson. But that's the closest largish city.
yeah, and you have a guide dog, so Glamour. So I will have my dog fix while I'm there because I have my own dogs. And then you
Yes.
have a feline familiar, Twitch. So I'll have my cat fix while I'm there. And
Yep.
this all sounds perfectly enchanting. And I know that having two very active first time small dog owner here. I've never had small dogs, and it's way different than big dogs, trust me. And
Oh, yeah.
small
You've got
dogs,
Chihuahuas.
wow.
Yeah.
And so they influence my life and my work in ways that people are, they're just dogs. You have no idea. Okay. All those Chihuahua videos you see on TikTok, they're all real. Okay.
Yeah,
Everything
the one that sings with her person. I love that one.
they're all the things they say about Chihuahuas, they're all real. So I
There's
know how
Twitch.
much my hello,
Hello, Twitch is Twitch tail. Knew
I know
you'd Zoom
how
bomb us.
influence my life and my work now. I mean, they just do. How to have in yours? Well, there's a prime example. Twitch wants to be on camera. How do they influence
Well,
your
I
work in your
I
life?
picked her up. Yeah, she likes to Zoom bomb, and I was playing my Himalayan singing bowl earlier, and then I stopped, and then she was like, "Well, I wasn't done with that," so she came up and tinged the bowl with her collar so that it would make noise. So yeah, my animals are very. I'm trying to keep her tail off screen. If you see me making, weird gestures, I'm not doing Tai Chi. I'm keeping her tail out of the screen. They're very, and I love them. And because I'm also, yes, among other things, I talk to animals quite literally. They talk to me, so I'm very involved with the animals in my life, up including the crows and the birds and the family of bunnies that lives outside of my house. They're not in a hutch or anything; they're just wild, free. So yeah, I think animals are great, and to me, it's okay that they're a part of what I do. And my thing is, look, if you don't like it, then go watch someone else's stuff or go pay attention to someone else because animals are a big part of my connection with source, spirit, whatever. They are our teachers more so than most humans are. So yeah, I think animals are great, and they have their personalities, and sometimes they can, do crazy things, but I love them.
Now I've looked at some of your books. I've read some of your books because they're pretty cool, and I noticed that a lot of them, like Trust Your Heart was one, and the Peace Seed. They
Hmm.
they, they kind of delve into personal growth and transformation. What inspired that? What inspired those works? Because when you first started writing, it seemed like you were writing more, like I don't know, different. Okay, I just want to say different. You weren't into that yet. What
I
inspired?
actually have, yeah, my book in 2006 was I'll Push You Steer, and that was a personal development where the two of us, for that one, my co-author is a cancer survivor. I'm mostly blind, and we both have people say, "You're so inspiring." And one day we had this conversation. I'm like, "Bonnie, I'm so sick of people telling me I'm inspiring. I'm just living my life." And she goes, "Yeah, I get that too. And I don't get it either. We're just living, right?" So yeah. And so it was kind of ended up being, we decided to write a book together about neither one of us can drive for different reasons. So that's kind of inspired that book. But yeah, for me, even my fiction has some personal development themes in it because, well, and a lot of times you want the character in fiction, you want the character to grow, to change, to learn something. I don't know, people don't expect that of themselves in life sometimes, but we want it from our characters in books, So For me, that's always been a big part of it. Even if I'm writing woo-woo stuff, or heaven forbid, the occasion that I write what I call a mundane story that doesn't have supernatural elements or, magic or fairies or something in it. Even so, for me, that personal development is important because we're all on a journey. And I guess to me, what's the point if we're not learning something? Not because we're imperfect or broken or nasty or sinners or any of that kind of stuff, not at all, but just, hey, we're here having an experience. Let's learn from it.
Now, I know that storytelling plays a huge role in all of your teachings. Why do you think storytelling is such a powerful tool for transformation?
I mean, it's wired. We're all wired for stories. If you think back to the early people, and somebody comes running back into the village, and the others are like, what happened? What's wrong? You're all upset. What happened? And oh, this big tiger, whatever, and so there you go. There's a story about whatever happened. Or what we need to do because it's coming this way or whatever. So there's a lot of our lives where we love stories. And look, even the Calm app, which has meditations and, music and what have you, well, they have sleep stories because even adults like to be read to before bed, I guess, So even there you can see we're definitely wired for stories. And by both telling a story and also receiving a story with what I like to call generous listening, I believe we could make humanity better if we could simply listen, ask questions out of curiosity, not judgment, as well as telling our own story and sharing our own truth. It's both are the flip sides of the same coin, if you will.
I have a personal question for you because I'm an author myself, as you
Yes.
know, and getting ready to release my next two books. And I struggle with something, it bugs me because I want to do both and I can't. How do you balance writing both fiction and nonfiction? Because I can sit down and crank out the nonfiction books fairly easily. I struggle so with fiction, but I have stories in my head that I help me, girl. How do you balance this?
Okay, I'll tell you. For me, I don't perceive a struggle because I perceive that even in your nonfiction, which is great, that stuff comes to you in your teachings, but telling stories is going to help people receive and comprehend and act upon those teachings. Well, storytelling is also a part of fiction. So again, writing is writing. And perhaps it's the dichotomy that you're making in your mind. This is this and that is that. Maybe that is where you're having the issue, where it doesn't really have to be any different because good writing is good writing, fiction or nonfiction. You'll tell stories in your fiction, you'll tell stories in your nonfiction. You'll use commas in both and periods and all of those kinds of things, grammar, words, all of that. So it's really not so different. And you can have a lot of fun with it. And you can even create little parables or little anecdotal stories that go into your fiction, and they might be into your nonfiction, I mean, and they might be loosely based on something that actually happened. And then also in your fiction, you might end up writing a character because there's this really annoying person that you always see at the grocery store, and now they become a character. So it's really very similar in my way of perceiving.
Do you find one more impactful than the other? Do you find fiction or nonfiction, one or the other, more impactful in what you do?
Not really, because again, my fiction always has a point as well. So in nonfiction, I might be teaching somebody about mindfulness or about how to write a book or whatever it is. And in fiction, I'm not teaching in that same way, but through the struggles that the characters go through, whether they're interpersonal struggles or the internal struggle a character might go through, battling their own past, their own traumas, etc., trying to come to terms with it, that's a teaching as well.
Interesting. I have to think about this because, like I said, I've got stories up here that can't seem to get out here, but nonfiction, not a problem. So
I'll
I'm
give you another thing that helps me is that I like to have a reason to write something. And So for fiction, if you look at contests that are accepting entries, especially if ones that are free or affordable. I'm not suggesting you just go out and, enter crazy stuff, but there are reputable ones. Or if you go and submit, like, I would love to have a story in this publication, or, oh, there's this anthology of whatever science fiction coming out, and they have a call for submissions. I'm going to write a story, and they'll say the guidelines are this many words limit or whatever, and then you have a reason, or they want it on this theme, or they want it on that subject, or they want it to be about tacos, whatever. And then you'll have a reason to write a story. Then whatever, ideas and characters and things are in your head, you might go, oh yeah, I can see where I can do that, and then submit it over here. And even if whatever this is doesn't take it, maybe something else will, or you can enter it in a contest. So for me, it's kind of fun to look for places to submit, because then it will make me sit down and go, okay, I know my brain will always churn out. I have things that go in there. So then you have a reason. See if that helps you.
Never thought about that.
No guarantees, but try it.
Hey, you're a Reiki master and a vibrational healer. We talked about that. How do you integrate these practices into your own daily life and your work with others?
Well, gee, here I'm sitting here with the Himalayan singing bowl right next to me that I brought in. I was
The
using.
stuff working. So we have to thank her, because before we even got on this, we were having some issues, and she was over there doing her thing. And ooh,
Yeah,
from
I was chanting a mantra and playing the bowl and everything, and yeah, I use it in my daily life. Normally, this particular bowl, which is called a vortex bowl with the spirals, and the spirals are a lot of the way that I do energy work, even the way I write. The way I write, I call it spiral writing, because I will swirl out whatever comes first. Maybe in a fiction story, maybe it's a character and things that they're doing. And then I don't have all the details of what the room looks like or what the teacups look like or whatever. But I'm like, it's okay, that'll come later. And, then I'll just keep kind of spiraling back through and adding the elements as they come, because I'm not worried about having it all like this pristine perfect in the first go around, because it's not going to be anyway, so why fight it? So spirals are really important. So you see, everything in my life I feel is integrated. So normally this particular Himalayan singing bowl lives on my media console, which is pretty high, and I will just sometimes come by and pick up this lovely little mallet and let the bowl sing, and just enjoy. And let that be a reminder to breathe and relax. And Twitch is right here looking like, thank you for making the bowl sing. She's looking right at it. Both my animals love it. And if I'm on the floor with the bowls, then Glamour, my guide dog, will have her toes so close they're almost touching the bottom of the bowl. And Twitch sometimes goes up to until her whiskers tickle. So it's all integrated, and having a practice of mindfulness. Just pay attention while you're eating, like all the flavors, all the textures. Don't just mindlessly eat while you're thinking of 10 other things, but just to have that mindfulness, or tuning in, how am I feeling at this moment? Or, oh, some shift in the energy happened. What is this? How am I experiencing it? So for me, that's how I integrate different things in my own life. And also, being someone who's very empathic, I can feel energies. And I mean, I can go into a Facebook group, and boy, the other day I was in one and somebody was just in a mood. It's not that they said anything evil. They didn't call anybody names. They weren't being a troll, but I could just feel this, like a lot of people having frustration. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to sit with this Facebook thing here, and I'm going to breathe and meditate for a minute and just bring calm into this group. Because as someone who's empathic, I don't want to feel the jangly. So some of it's self-preservation, as well as, yes, trying to be helpful. And my aim is to be a blessing to anyone who crosses my path. Yes, Twitch, we know you have a tail. Thank you.
Well, you did.
She's just insisting on flagging her tail around.
Okay. if my husband wasn't here to keep the boys under control, they would both want to be up here and be on camera because they're like, we have to show everybody that you have us now, Mom. Let me get and
That's
see.
right. You have dogs. We are vocal. We are small and in charge.
They are that. They are in charge. They rule the house. You were talking about something that I think I've noticed is a problem that a lot of women experienced, and I did in the for a long time, and that is that disconnect, whether you call it God, whether you call it source, whether you call it the universe, your inner whatever.
Right.
So many women have not learned to listen to that, and it took me a long time before I finally understood. Yeah, I should be listening to what it's telling me, and it totally changed my life. It truly did. You're known for teaching people how to tap into that. So what's one piece of advice that you'd give to these, especially women right now, who are feeling so disconnected from, like I said, whether you call it God, spirit, so whatever you
Right.
call
Whatever word you want. Yeah.
it.
That's something that's greater than yourself. Well, sister, whoever you are, my sister, you are a divine spark. You are divinity walking around in a human body. And your dogs and cats are divinity walking around in dog and cat or whatever you have bodies, iguanas, horses, anything. You are divine. You have inner knowing for a reason. The why you feel disconnected most likely is because society is really big on telling women that we don't matter, whatever, we don't need to have charge of our own bodies, our own thoughts. We don't, and of course that's not true because there's plenty of fabulous women entrepreneurs and scientists and mathematicians and all of those things, but we are just taught in general to act like we don't matter because too many, white males in particular, we don't matter. Well, you do matter. And if you just got up every day and looked in the mirror and said, I am enough and I love me, I bet it would change your life. You do that every time you walk by a mirror. Stop, look at, I can't look straight at anything because of the way my eyes work, but look straight at yourself in the mirror and say, I am enough and I love me.
There you go, ladies. Do this.
There you go, my sister.
Do it. Like I said, it changed. In fact, it's why the next two books are coming, because of that personal experience with listening to what I was being told I was supposed to be doing. It's like, okay, fine. Okay. You win.
I know that feeling, yeah, that, okay, I guess I'm doing this project right now. Yeah, I had one of those recently too, yeah.
How has your experience, and I guess you've been like a lifelong medium and psychic, how has it influenced your creative and professional endeavors? I'm learning more about you as we get to know each other better, because when I first met you, you were solely focused on business and becoming an entrepreneur or building your brand or whatever, because we both met at a business conference. Um,
Yeah,
and so
I
I
was working with someone else about writing books and all at the time. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I didn't used to talk for the longest time. I got so used to being silenced about my gifts and what I could see that I just didn't really talk about it. And then at one point, and I would write things that were fantastical and had fantasy or supernatural elements. And one day I just finally said, F it, this is me. You're either going to like me or you're not. I don't really care one way or another because I know who and what I am. I know I'm a child of divinity just like you are, and that's fine. So I just kind of went out there and said, yeah, I'm a medium. I actually do. That means I actually help people cross, people and animals, as they're transitioning from living to what's beyond. So that's a difference between like a medium and a psychic who's just somebody who knows stuff, who has impressions. So I have that too, but yeah. So I didn't even know what I was for the longest time as far as mediumship. I was like, I feel like a ticket agent who helps people when they're leaving this world. And it wasn't until there were some TV shows and they're like, oh, that's called being a medium. Oh my God, wait, I do that. Even though it was a fiction, I was like, yeah, I've had situations like that. So I didn't have anyone around me that was powered with any intuitive or psychic or whatever you want to call them gifts. So I just had to kind of figure everything out for myself. And while, by the way, oh, don't talk about it. So you know. Some people are fortunate enough to have others in their family who also have the sight or gifts or whatever and can help them through all of that. And, for me, it was just kind of the solo path of figuring it out. And at this point, I'm like, look, this is me. I'm queer. I'm neurodivergent. I'm, all these things. I'm a medium. I have impressions. I'm an artist. I have all this, and doesn't make me any better or worse or whatever than anybody else. It's just, this is who I am. And I'm not apologizing to anybody for that. And I hope that by me giving myself that permission and just walking through my life with that, hey, this is it. Take it or leave it. Tioli, take it or leave it. This is it. Maybe other people will go, oh, yeah, maybe I can be okay with me.
I love that instead of describing yourself as legally blind, you describe yourself as illegally sighted. I love that.
Yeah.
And someone who sees what others don't. So can you maybe share a story about how this perspective helped you overcome the challenges? Because I'm sure it's
Well,
not easy, but
yeah, illegally sighted is just kind of a play. Legally blind means blind by the legal definition of blindness, which I won't bother going into right here. And I say I'm illegally sighted because, well, I have some vision. It's useless in certain circumstances. It's helpful in others. I can walk into a room with a checkered floor, and to me, the tiles look like the black tiles are one height and the white tiles are another. So for me, it doesn't look like a floor. And I have to tell my brain, it's a restaurant. Of course it has a floor. It doesn't have uppy downies all over the place. You don't have to only hop from one square to the other or whatever, because visually it looks different. So that's kind of why I say I'm illegally sighted. I have some vision, but it kind of works weird. It's kind of janky in certain situations. I can walk and come to a screaming halt because there's a shadow, but I think there's like a stick or a something or a barrier across the way. Or there can be no markings on stairs, and I'll think I'm on a flat thing, and all of a sudden, whoa, I'm going downstairs. Hello. So that's kind of where I got the illegally sighted. As someone who doesn't see well, I have to do almost everything a little bit differently or a lot differently from how those of you with normal sight would do it. And that has made me, plus just the nature of my whacked out brain, to be very innovative. And so not only do I see things that people don't, like, spirits and stuff, but I have a really great situational awareness. And beyond all of that, just having this ability to go, well, okay, I can't, this way that everyone else does it does not work for me. So here's the alternative. I'm coming up with something, and it can be the way I organize stuff in my closet, or the way I cook and tell if something is done, or even the way, don't take me to a buffet. You're going to see me pick up a spoon of stuff and go sniffing at it because I'm trying to go, name that food. What is this mystery thing in this pan here? Because mostly I don't know. I mean, if it's a chicken leg, yes, I can see that. If it's in like a pan of goo, I don't know what it is. So there's just different ways to access the world that I have to use.
well, nothing certainly stops you from trying new ventures or even from traveling. So like I said, we met at a conference. I think it was the one that Ken did in Orlando.
Gosh, I was trying to remember that. Yeah, I know we were in a hotel and stuff. Yeah.
Think it was
Yeah, probably Orlando. Yeah.
so
And
what
I've traveled abroad and things like that too. And I feel like I'll figure it out. I will, I enjoy having different experiences. And so, I'm not going to let a little thing like being mostly blind stop me. So, I have a guide dog who helps me so much. And right now she's snoring. If you hear any weird little noises, it's probably her snoring. But yeah, she helps me navigate a lot. And my dogs have always kind of had their own little missions. I know you met, I think it was Molly you might have met.
I met Molly.
Black one?
Hmm.
Yeah, and Molly, there were times I'd be at a conference, and at one of them, I was talking to somebody, and all of a sudden Molly said, "We're going over here." And she poked my leg and put her harness handle up by my hand because I was standing and talking. We just off we went because there was somebody in another cluster that she felt she needed to help and give some encouragement to. And one time I was at a different conference and sitting down listening to somebody. All of a sudden she crawls up on the little platform of the next level behind me and is laying on somebody's feet. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my dog." And she's like, "No, I love dogs. It's fine. She can stay there." Well, that lady then later told me she'd just gotten a cancer diagnosis and was trying to process it. And my dog was comforting her and helping her through that. So, even my dogs have their own little missions. So when I'm traveling, I always love to see when I go in a different environment. Each dog is a little bit different. My current one loves to provide comfort if people are, either older people or in a hospital. And I call her Spun Sugar. She's just such a sweet dog. And she loves to provide comfort. And she has a little stubby tail. She's a Labrador, but they had to cut her tail to save her life when she was first born. And she just wagged that little stub. It just goes so fast. And she has this cute expression on her face. And she makes people melt and feel better. So even in traveling, even my dogs have their own little mission, irrespective of whatever I'm there to do.
So how can because you are absolutely fearless. Like I said, you are, I don't know that I would be out there doing all that stuff if I couldn't see well. I struggle now because I have some vision issues and I'm, not nearly anything like you. I can see and I still have, it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that because I don't see well enough to do that.
You'll just have to talk to me sometime and we'll see if I can help you out with some of that stuff. But yeah.
Well, how can other women who are afraid of, how can they cultivate that fearless mindset that I think we're going to need coming up here in the future?
Yeah, I would say, and I will tell you some of the recent stuff, I've had a couple of days of mourning. I lit vigil candles for 3 days running, all night long, flameless, by the way, because, animals. But, but yeah, and so just to do that, part of it is just having to make that decision. Is what I am afraid of or concerned about. Am I bigger than that? Is there a reason? Like, for me to get out and drive a car down the road would not be a good idea. I do not see well enough to drive. I do not have a license. So there are certain limits to things that, no, this shouldn't be tackled. But a lot of the things that we're afraid of or concerned about, either it's just something because we don't know. And I always feel like, don't worry about the how. You'll find a way or someone to help you deal with the how, but just figure out is what's more important to me, for me to not to do this thing because I'm afraid of it, or for me to go, I'm not sure, but I will find a way to do this and breathe and conquer through the fears and emotions you have. You can recognize them. And I even say, thank your fear, thank your emotions. Your fear is your brain's way of trying to protect you. And I think if we start by acknowledging, if we're afraid of something or we're feeling anxiety, it's like, okay, brain, I want to thank you. I realize you're attempting to protect me from getting hurt or whatever. Now that said, I'm going to go ahead and do this anyway, but thank you for your feedback. Noted. And I always say, kiss it and wave it goodbye. Not that you're going to always be done with the fear, but by just acknowledging it, thanking it, being in that space of gratitude for what it's trying to do. It's just like pain in the body is trying to tell you to slow down. So if you can acknowledge it, slow down, figure out whatever needs to be adjusted, and then move forward, it'll help you. So the same thing with fears in your life. You can do it just because you don't know how right now, or because something has changed and you're not sure how to navigate. We can figure it out. And my best advice with all these times, these things that are happening right now, find a buddy and just pretend we're in kindergarten. You find a buddy, you're going to hold hands and take their hand, and you're going to go on together and make this nice little knot that nobody can break through.
That's why we started the Rebel Tribe, so that we have a lot of buddies. That's what we're there for. We're linking arms and supporting each other through whatever's coming. And I don't care what side you're on, who you voted for, whatever. things are going to change drastically for women, whether you think it's better, whether you think it's worse. I don't care. It's going to change, and
Yes.
you're going to have to learn how to navigate it. So yeah.
And together is the way to do it, no matter what. And we can be afraid, and yes, we can take Adderall or whatever and stay home in our covers, or we can find a way to go out and live. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with medicine when you need it, but don't let anything stop you living, because that's how they win. That's how whatever it is that wants to keep you down, that's the way they win, is if you then just say, I'm not going to live.
So what advice would you give to women who feel limited, I guess, by their circumstances or their abilities, or especially when it comes to pursuing their dreams?
Yeah, we're kind of taught not to dream a lot of times. I created an oracle deck called Winged Messengers, and one of the cards in it, they're all are everything with wings, birds and butterflies and fairies and different things. So one of the cards is dream, and when I did an intuitive session with someone, they said, I forgot how to dream. I said, well, this card is here and this idea is here to remind you what it is that you dream, and what is one thing today you can do that will help you. You do know how to dream, you do have a dream, but life can squash it if we let it. So my biggest advice is don't let it be squashed, and really find someone to run with, to go with. Not that they have to have your same dream, but a lot of times any of us who have dreams will be your cheerleaders to help anyone else who is trying to wake up that dream and go towards it. We have the dream for a reason. We have the desire for a reason. It's because we're meant to pursue it. It's because our spirit is saying, hey, so is our cat right now. So
Cats are welcome. All cats
cats welcome. Cats have, she says, I have dreams too. Yes.
are probably
So,
all cats are welcome.
yes. We're
So
not speciesist here.
mine are too old right now, or they'd be up here too. They're old kitties.
Aw.
They spend most of their time napping. So otherwise they'd be up here.
Yeah, I believe it.
So if there's one key message or a piece of wisdom that you hope the listeners take away from your journey and your work and your story, what would it be?
You are never separated from divinity, source, God, whatever science, nature, whatever words you like to put on that. You are never separate. You cannot possibly be. If you feel that you are, it's an illusion or your own fears or self-doubts or whatever, but you are never separated. And all it takes is taking a breath and taking a moment and just saying, I'm here, I'm listening. Little by little, you'll teach yourself to trust that inner knowing, because you are divinity wearing a human body. There is no way. How can you not then be connected with that? That's what the word namaste means. That's, you've maybe heard, if you've taken a yoga class, it's in Sanskrit. It means the divinity in me sees the divinity in you. You are enough and you are perfect exactly as you are.
So what's next for you in your career?
What's next for me? I am working on a new oracle deck called the Music of the Spheres, which is will be a deck of cards that will be in, well, I mean, I hate to call it an oracle deck because it's not like you're trying to divine your future exactly, but it's meant to help you have insight into your life, and using music, vibration, astrology, all those wonderful dynamic cosmic forces to help you have insights into your life. So I'm working on that currently, and I'm going to be revising and updating the Peace Seed and adding to it. At the time, it was a cute little book that can actually be slipped into a card inside an envelope. It's a mini book. And I'm planning to do an expanded edition of that in 2025, and also bringing in various voices with messages of peace.
What about personal? What's next for you in your personal journey?
My personal journey, I am, I'm taking two different certification courses, which are for both personal and professional intentions. And personally, I am just loving my, my dog is standing here wagging into my leg right now. Enjoying my animals and just doing my best as we're navigating a really difficult time come early next year as it starts to really be supportive to women and others who are going to be having a really difficult time with the changes. So just wanting to work together to help make the world a better place
Your
with the
dog?
differences that are coming.
Yeah, Glamour's telling you've chatted long enough, Mom, so it's time to go. Okay.
Well, fortunately, I walked her before we came in, so she just says it's time for loves. Yes. So I've got one under each hand right now.
Well, that's our sign. So, how can our audience connect with you if they want to learn more, if they want to explore your work, if they want to support you, if they want you to support them? How can they find you?
Well, I am all over the place. I'm not on X anymore, but Facebook, in YouTube, and just all the social networks. And if you look for the Blind Seer, that will probably be an easy way to find me because my name is really hard to spell. And I'll make sure you have my social links for your show notes. So I just look forward to connecting with you. Also, I have a Ko-Fi shop, ko-fi/ the story lady, where you can find some of examples of my art and journals and other things that I'm up to.
Cool. And I will post all that in the program notes so you can find her. Rhonda, it's been fun, and like I said, we've known each other forever, and yet even I found out a few things about you that I didn't know, so that's always cool. I love it. I love it when I learn something on these because I have a lot of people come on that I've known for a while because I love their stories and I want to share them, and it's like I didn't know that either. So
Yeah, we haven't talked in an awfully long time, like really talked, so we'll definitely have to remedy that.
yeah, so I appreciate you doing this today. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let Glamour and Twitch have you back because
There's the tail again. These are silly cats. So thank you so much. This has been my pleasure, and I hope that each one of your tribe, your audience, has gotten something out of it that will help you. And I look forward to connecting with you. And I'll send you off with lots of love and with a namaste.
thanks, Rhonda.